Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photo talks. So today I want to talk about we're in a health crisis and how are we working? How are we documenting it? It's probably one of the most unique situations all of us have been in, and what are we doing to document that world? So I was asked by a local magazine that I photographed for to document my town and show what's going on as a result of the virus so that they could use it as a piece. They're going to do different towns in Boulder County and feature different photographers working and how they can depict what it looks like. But I didn't want to just photograph people at the hospital with masks on, and so I didn't. I went around and I looked for people who are engaging in what are they doing in their free time, and how can I show this in a way that isn't all necessarily medical or negative, but more social time, people engaged in activity with their kids, things like that. And it's a challenge because you could say, well, there's nothing going on. In my town, if you take a walk into town and back, you might see a few people walking their dog. And that was my challenge, is I can't just photograph people walking their dog all day long. And those photographs won't be terribly interesting. So part of it was also the businesses in town that are open, like the restaurants that are doing takeout. I wanted to get some people getting takeout. I wanted to document some people who are those service workers, and that was important to me. I came upon a man who was standing outside of his gold and silver, we buy gold and silver type store, and I talked to him for a little while after I photographed him, but he's just outside waiting for a customer. And I was talking to him and he said that, he had usually twice or three times the number of people coming in than he does now, and the people who are coming in are selling things because they need the money, because times are getting tough now. And those were good business stories to add to the photos of people doing recreational type things, because I need to create a little variety of stories. And so I put together a whole photo package for them. I photographed one restaurant at night with just cars passing by in a pretty desolate street because there was nothing going on. Nobody was coming in for takeout. They were open and there was really no business. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is to photograph something when something isn't happening. There isn't a protest full of hundreds of people. There isn't anything that involves plenty to shoot. A lot of it is, how do you shoot empty space? How do you shoot people in, sort of sporadic places, if they're in any places at all? And the beauty of working for a magazine or working for any kind of a client is I could go up to people and say, hey, I'm shooting for Yellow Scene magazine. I'm doing a photo essay on Longmont. Would it be okay if I photograph you? If there were kids playing or doing something and the parent was there, that makes it much easier to approach. Anytime you can say you're working for a magazine, you're given a lot more access because it has credibility. And when I'm shooting street for myself, I'll often go around and photograph and take pictures, and I'm not using that pitch because I'm also not interrupting anything or making myself known that I'm photographing. And even amongst the photographs that are in the Longmont coronavirus essay, many of them were made without the people knowing I was photographing them. And I was still shooting like a street shooter. And even some of them were already made before I got the assignment from the magazine. So I said, I have some others I've been shooting. I can add those to the collection, and you have also access to those. So it's very much the magazine does give you some access, which is a good thing, and it helps tremendously. And I like that, I have that as I can reach into that pocket when I need that access, and I can also be stealth and shoot street light when I don't want to interrupt. And I shoot sometimes like that too, and it all works together to make a photo package. So I'll put a link to the photos below. You can take a look. And are you documenting anything in your town? Are you documenting your home? What are you making? I sometimes photograph out the car window. That's been the major way that I've gone around my town. Is I don't have any access to anybody. I don't encounter anybody. I just drive with my camera, and I can either shoot with a wide angle if things are close to me, within, maybe across the street, or I can shoot with a telephoto lens if things are a little bit more distant. And then other times I'm walking or I'm stopping with, if I come upon people who are, I've met a father playing basketball with his kids, and that photo's in the series. I stopped and I said, hey, can I photograph you guys, and I'll stay my distance? And that was okay with them, and I was able to park and photograph. So, but I do use my car to get around, and a lot of the photos I do shoot from the car, which if you want to document your town and want to get around, I think it's safe enough if you don't get out of your car and you don't encounter anyone to drive and photograph out the car window. But I think that in my town, people have been pretty good about wearing masks and keeping social distance. And I'm not wearing a mask when I take a walk because I'm walking by myself, and I'm not, again, coming upon anybody within 30, 50, 100 feet. I'm not coming upon anybody at all. And then the same thing when I'm driving. I'm not wearing a mask. If I had to go to a store, I have one. But otherwise, I'm about how can I just go out and see what's going on and create some photography that I can document this situation and have some record of what it was like, because this is such a unique situation. It may never happen again. Hopefully it won't, and people will forget. What was that? What was it like? So it's important. You can look back at other crises like the AIDS crisis or SARS or other things that affected America a little bit. Well, AIDS a lot. SARS, I think a little bit. I'm not sure if that was somewhat in America. But how many, like looking back at the AIDS crisis back in the 80s, how many people remember what that looks like or sees what that looks like, what those people are suffering, what their environment was? And has that kind of gone away because time has taken it away? And will it take this away too? So take pictures, document, make photos of your world. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, I welcome Patreon subscribers and supporters. Thank you so much. And I'll be back next week. We'll talk photography. Be well. Here's the good light.